Congratulations, you made it to another class where you're going to learn how to do basic movements in a very calm, almost lengthy manner, and you're actually moving your jiu-jitsu forward a needle. So we went from just workout classes to just barely surviving to moving the needle forward, right? And because this is recorded, I'm able to resend it to you guys. And because I'm able to focus almost the entire class on teaching, I'm able to break down really basic concepts, basic moves into a very digestible size. So congratulations for making it again. This is the fourth week, week number 4 of the 5-week beginner escape curriculum. All right, next week we will begin a new cycle, which will be 5 weeks of takedowns, on our feet work, defense, takedowns, but it'll all be footwork. All right, after that, we'll move on to another segment. This whole curriculum will go for about 30 weeks, and then it will repeat, and then it will repeat, and it'll just continue to repeat. So the beauty of that, if you miss, catch it on the next time. All right. So that being said, just a quick message. We're putting together the 4-man group, the 1-person group. I'm setting up the outdoor space with Yanni and a couple other people this weekend. We're getting ready. I'm testing out how this is working. I have a couple people in here now training just to see how it's working. We're getting the cleaning protocol listed. And the idea is it's safer to train with 1 person or 3 people than having 20 people in the room, even if you're social distance, in my opinion, because of the size of the building. We can open up the windows. We can open up the doors. There's 3 exits. There's also this machine here. I'll show you guys. This will be next to the door. This is hospital grade, 3,000 square feet. All right, it kills all sorts of viruses. It was made for MRSA in hospitals. You should make sure that's on if you are at the school training. Just a flip of the switch, I'll put a video on that. All right, that being said, so anyone remember what we did last week? Want to hear from somebody? What it was called? Go ahead, John.
Gotta unmute. We did the shrimp escape.
Yeah. Yep. And anyone know why we're in that scenario? Why were we in the shrimp? What happened that brought us to the shrimp escape? I want to hear from somebody else. Matt?
Someone got us sideways. They came at us from the side, and they put the legs aside.
Yeah. Yep. A bigger, quicker, larger opponent, all right, was able to knock us down. All right, because this is jiu-jitsu, it's a defensive martial art. We're preparing for the worst case scenario. And what is the worst case scenario after I get knocked down? Anybody? Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead, tell us. So the guy's punching you on the top. Yeah, but what position is the worst place for me to be in on bottom?
Mounted.
Yeah, so worst place is to be mounted, where someone is on top of my body, right? Let me just put this down here. So worst case scenario, I get knocked down, they jump over, and they're mounted me. Worst. Second worst case scenario is they get what's called side control. Now the best case scenario when I get knocked down, all right, I get knocked down here. Best case scenario is I keep my feet up. He tries to come and get me, and I block him with my feet. And he can't pass. He keeps coming, and I block. He keeps coming towards me, and I block. What's that called? Anybody know? What's that position called?
Open guard.
Yeah, there you go. Ding, ding, ding. That was like, he was like, hit the button. Should I hit the button? Oh, he got it. Open guard. Yeah, open guard. Best case scenario on bottom. You're blocking him. I'm away from the punches. All right. So as we did last week, we went over the shrimp. So he was actually able to throw my legs to the side, which is my best defense on bottom. All right. He was able to throw to the side, but I was able to pivot here, turn my hips and start to block. And I was able to block and frame enough that I could shrimp. All right, so what I want to show you today is, let's say he gets past my legs, and then I can't recover quick enough, and he actually gets me into a really bad side control. Probably the worst side control I could be in. So we're going to take it one step worse for side control. Before, I was able to pivot and frame and then shrimp back in. But this scenario is I'm not able to do that. He's actually pressuring down on me, and he's really tight, and he's bigger and stronger. Now, he's not punching me. He's just holding me. In other case scenario would be punching me, but if they're punching you, guess what happens when they're punching? They have to come up to punch, which creates some space for you to block and get out. So yeah, it's worse when someone's punching you, but it also gives you an opportunity to get out. So the tightest scenario was when they're not punching you, they're actually just holding you. Okay? So that's the scenario that we're going to go through today, where they're just holding you. All right? It's like being under Aaron Satlow. He's just like holding on. You're never going to get out of that. All right, so I'm going to go through it. I'm going to show you it. After that, I'm going to detail it. Then I'm going to detail it a little further. We're going to talk a little bit about the concepts behind this, which there are really good concepts behind this. And then after that, you guys can drill it. All right, let's see it. So I really like this particular move because of its availability when someone's really coming after you. The more they come after you, the harder they go for you, the better this move works. And that's the beauty about this, because a lot of times people will be in a move where the harder they go, the harder it is. This particular move, the harder they go, the better it works. All right? So I'll show it to you quickly, and then we'll break it down. So I get knocked down. Go ahead, pass right away. All right, let's see it again. All right. So, in this scenario, my partner's on top super tight. If he's not super tight and he's going up to punch, all right, I'm going to be able to block that, and I'm going to be able to come in for other things, all right? But in this scenario, he's super tight, all right? So, let's break this down a little bit. So first thing is when he knocks me down and he's super tight, his head's against me. So as a partner, you need to be putting pressure on for this move. So if you're going to drill this with a partner, you have to understand that if they're not giving the right pressure, this is not going to work. So first thing you need to do is you check in your mind, hey, is this guy really tight on me? Do I have no space? If that's the case, then this move's gonna be good for you. Now, the first thing you wanna think about when you get knocked down and he actually is on top of you is not to make it worse. And what would be worse? The mount. So I need to make sure that he's not mounting. So how am I gonna do that? So, if I'm here, all right, I can't see him. I don't know where his legs are. And if I can't feel him, he can just come and mount. See that? He picks up, he picks up. So, the problem with this, I have no vision for what's going on down there. And he can just pick his leg up and put it over. If that's the case, I'm going to be in a bad position. And one of the biggest mistakes that newer people make when they learn this move is they try to bridge into the person with two legs down, and the person mounts. So, I'm not paying attention where he is. I go to bridge into him, and he mounts. Now I'm in a worst case scenario. So I want to show you how to avoid the mount first, and then I want to show you how to reverse him. So, first way you avoid the mount, all right, I'm going to turn this down just a little bit so you can see my legs, is when you get knocked down, you're here. You want to make sure your legs aren't here. You're here, right? That's our shrimping position, remember that? So our legs are going to give us our power here. So, I'm going to come into my bridge, right? But if I have both feet on the ground, then he can mount me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this foot and I'm going to put it to the side. What does that do? All right, what it does is it takes my knee and it turns it out this way. All right, and what does that do? That connects my knee to his hip. And when my knee is connected with his hip, it's a barometer for feeling if he's moving or not. Okay? So, if he's here, he starts to move, I can feel it. And I just lift my hips up. He tries to mount right now. All right? I feel him. If I'm here, he tries to mount. I don't really feel him until he's over here. If I'm here, I'm touching his hip. He starts to mount. He has to move his hip up. See that? He's moving it. And all I do here now is bring this up with him. Bring this up with him. If he's trying to mount high, I can straighten out my legs as well. All right, so he's tight down. So he tries to mount, move up. All right, jump off. So he tries to mount, move up. Tries to mount, move up. So now I've attached to him, and if he tries to mount, that's no longer there because I am lifting my hips up and he's not able to reach over here. If this is down, he can come right over. Does that make sense, guys? That's one of the biggest things that white belts pay zero attention to, and they get mounted all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Whoever said that. All right. Now, second thing here is if I can put my arm in here and start to push him off and frame, that's what I want to do. All right? I want to get my arm in here through the neck, not over, through the neck right here. Okay, not over here where he can see it. He sees this, he's going to come back down harder. But through here. If I can come through here and I could start to push away, that's my frame and we go right into the shrimp. But in this case scenario, he's so tight, I can't do that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How do we avoid getting chicken wings there?
How do you avoid what?
When somebody's lifting your elbow up over your head,
What you mean like, here. Go ahead, lift my elbow on my head. Like this one here?
Oh, when you snake your hand into that space,
Oh, here, right?
yeah, and then they drive your arm up.
So the thing is, you're not snaking quick enough. If you're staying here and he starts driving, you need to go all the way through.
Okay.
So if you're here for more time, he can start to do that. But look, in order for him to do that, he has to come off of me. So then you can snake through. Now he can't do that. See how tight this is? he tries to snake that up. Go ahead. Do you notice, see that movement right there? Any movement that he's going to do that's going to give him that is going to get him off of me. So as he comes off of you, go ahead, come on. You're going to use that to shrimp in. All right, so you're probably just not taking that next step. So any motion that he's going to try to put you in danger by punch you or by pushing you up, he has to come off to do that. And that's when you take advantage of that opportunity. Make sense? All right, so in this case, he doesn't come up. He's super tight. All right, so what I'm going to do, I have this here. He's super tight. Next thing I'm going to do, all right, I am going to bridge. All right, I'm going to bridge this way. All right, and this is one of the concepts in jiu-jitsu. I am not going to fight him against his own weight. Him coming down, I'm never going to be able to do that. So the concept I'm going to use here is I'm going to use, and you'll see this all throughout jiu-jitsu, I'm going to use a stronger part of my body against a weaker part of his body. So what's the stronger part of my body that I'm using with this? Yeah, Walter, your legs. All right? So my legs, and instead of me bridging up, I'm going to bridge on an angle. So now I'm taking away his force. All right? So it kind of looks like this. Remember we did our bridging here? Remember we did our shrimping? Same deal. All right? We're bridging here. We're bridging there. And if he's using a lot of force, the other concept here is using the other person's force that he's using to keep you down against him. So the more that he's keeping you down, the better this is going to work. So he's keeping me down. I'm going to bridge, and I'm going to use my hands to try to turn his face. I'm going to bridge. He's going to put me back down. All right, now I know he's going to do that again generally. And I bridge. And look, this foot is going to come down on the mat. And I'm going to turn my hips. All right, so a couple concepts I want to talk about is that those of you who saw Jimmy's class, is Tuesday night class, it's like jiu-jitsu is a ball. Once you connect with someone, I'm one half of the ball, he's the other half of the ball. That ball can move in many different ways as long as we're connected. So that's the concept right here. Because he's using so much force, we're connected, and then I'm able to move my hips, not my shoulders, to create that movement. All right? The other two concepts are using, like I said before, a stronger part of my body against a weaker part of his body. And the third concept is using his energy that he's creating against him. All right? So let me detail this a little bit further, and then you guys can go and drill it. So your partner, if he has space, come in. Be a good partner, be tight, right? So you're super tight, I got this blocked. All right? Now I'm going to use my hands. My hands will direct my body. If I don't use my hands, I'm not going to get as much turn. And I'm going to bridge. As I bridge, look at this comes off. Why does it come off? Because when I turn my hips, the foot needs to come down. This comes down, then I'm able to turn my hips.
Hey, Kevin, can you move into the frame a little bit? Like
Yeah, sure.
down a little bit more? Thank you.
Great. And guys, please, if you let that say just what Aaron did, is that better? Is that better, guys?
That's perfect. Thanks.
Okay, cool. So here we go. I'm down here. I check. I got this taken care of. I'm calm. He's pressuring against me. All right, I'm going to give one shot to bridge. He comes back. Look, notice I'm moving my hands to try to turn his face the other way. He comes back down again. This comes up. Watch this foot, guys. It comes down. and then I turn him. All right, so I would like for you guys to try this a couple times on your own. All right, and this is basically what we'll do. You'll get knocked down. You'll keep your feet up to block your opponent. He turns your feet away. He's on top of you. Let's cross over so we get our feeler so we're not getting hooked in. Let's try for that underneath the neck. It's not there. Let's bridge once. Let's bridge twice. And watch when I come back. On the mat. And I'm moving my hips. As I move my hips, I'm going to scissor my legs. And come back on. All right? So I want to see you guys nice and easy. Let's see you guys try that out. And I want you to go through the, like there's someone. Nice, Alex. So Alex, I don't want your hips to come up so high like this. All right? When you guys turn, after you've done here, and you come down, you're just going to turn your hips so they're flat. All right, so you're going to roll with your belly down. Let's see it, Jessica. Good, nice, Jess. Let's see it, Peter. So Peter, again, when you guys roll back through, watch my hips. Up, here. It's important that you're rolling onto your stomach. You're not rolling onto your knees where you create a lot of space. Rod, this is a really good one for you because at your weight, those guys just hold on so much. And I find if the guy's so much bigger, sometimes you can't roll him all the way, but it creates a nice scramble for other things. Bracciato. Danny, what's your son's name?
Little Dan.
Little Dan. Dan the man. Good seeing you, my man. I like those red pants.
Thanks.
Can we do it again?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's see it, little Dan. Your daddy's partner. Try to keep him down. There you go. Good. Okay, guys. All right, now that you tried out a couple times, let's see, Alex, finish it up. Good. All right, let's open this up. I want to point out one thing that's going to make or break this move for you. And it's a little quirky. A lot of people don't pay attention to this. A lot of people think that you have to turn the shoulders. All right? So if you just try to turn the shoulders, he's on top of you. That's not going to work. But if you turn your hips first, your shoulders follow. Now, my hips are free, so I can turn those. So that's what you want to turn first. I'll show you what I mean. So if I just try to turn my upper body, well, I'm coming here, it's much harder here. But if I come here, look, see how I turn my hips? Here. Now he's on top of me. And
Hey, can you get back in the frame?
What's that?
Back in the
sorry.
frame.
Come back. So I'm going to try with my chest. Look, I'm trying to go with my chest first. I want to turn my hips first. See how I shoot this hip underneath? Here. Look, see how my hips are already flat almost? And now he's over the top. So you want to turn your hips. Look, my hips are flat. Don't make the mistake of doing this. That's the difference between that move happening like this and really trying to like push it. You shouldn't have to push this move. So in the end, it's a switch of the hips, not a switch of the shoulders. The shoulders follow.
Kevin, this. Oh,
Go ahead, Matt.
okay. The second time that you bridge, it kind of feels like there's almost a sort of back and forth rocking going on where you're pushing him forward and then rocking back. Is that right?
Yeah, so this, you're going to have to play with this game a little bit. What's going to happen is you're going to bridge and you're not going to get much space and the guy's going to force you right back down. All right? And that's the reaction that you want because you know now that if you go real hard the second time, the harder you go, the more he's going to get you. Sometimes I actually have to do this like 2 times. Now, if he doesn't come back into you hard, then guess what's open? It's open for you to bridge, for you to come with your hand under and slip in there. So this requires your partner to be a good partner, or it requires you to be aware of what's happening. So you're exactly right, Matt. You're pushing, he pushes you back, you're pushing, he pushes you back, you're pushing. And then the third one, so it could be the second, it could be the third. Now, if you get to the fourth, it starts to become somewhat predictable. And the guy may say, hold on a second, something's going on here. So you're right, Matt. That's exactly, it's a rocking back and forth.
Kevin, what are the things we need to keep in mind around how we're holding onto our partner with our arms as we do the roll?
Okay, so if this move is done properly, you don't have to hold on at all because they're holding on to you. If you have to hold on to him, then you're not doing, then this isn't the time for this move. So kind of like surfing. I see people when they go out to surf, right? This is what happened to me when I first went to surf. I go, I'm going to go surf. I take my board and I go out, right? And I go out and I try to get beyond the waves. I try for like an hour. I can't get beyond the waves. And I go out and I go, man, I can't even do this. 5 minutes later, someone just goes right out. And I said, wow, how did they do that? What technique did they use? You know what technique they used? Just waiting. They just waited until the conditions were right. And they went right out. They did the same thing I did, but they just had the wherewithal, they had the understanding that they shouldn't be going at that moment. So a lot of this is for you guys to realize when this is happening to you. So the best way that you can practice this is pick a bigger, stronger opponent that usually keeps you down and let him get you down and be there for a little while and just be in that without trying to escape. Just be there and try not to get mounted. All right? So the reason why one of the reasons why this move is so useful is that in sparring, you get here a lot. You're really in this position a lot. Can anyone attest to that who's sparred before?
Definitely.
Yeah, and you get stuck here. And so you need to figure out how to get out of there. And in a self-defense scenario, a lot of times maybe your opponent, your attacker, they don't want to like abuse you so hard that your face is beat up. They may just want to like smother you and hold you down. And that can be suffocating. All right. Other questions? about this position? You guys want me to show? Go ahead, Tom.
So if you're pulling too much with your shoulders, does it make it that much easier for your opponent to get the mount? Because if you're pulling this way, your hips are flat. He can just step over at that point. Yeah.
Not at that moment.
Okay.
What you're risking at that moment is just that you're not going to be able to get enough. What'll happen is you'll start to come over the other side, but you won't make it and it'll hold you there. Because at that moment, you're actually coming towards this way, and he's now holding you flat down here because he doesn't want you to go. So he's not in that same position where he's going to mount over. So I've come here, I'm pushing, and I try to go. Look, he's here. He's not in a position where he's going to mount. He's going to be flattening. He flats out, flatten out. Back, flatten out and back. You don't want to go. I'm just going to get here, and I can come back here. And if I come back and I don't settle, then he can mount.
Mm-hmm.
So what tends to happen in this, if you don't get it, is that you kind of just fall back into the same position. So if I come here and it doesn't work, I'm in this same position. But being that you opened up a little bit, there's other things that you can do because you've created a little bit of space. So just because it didn't work doesn't mean that you didn't create an opening for something else. And that something else is like another class. All right? But what I want you guys to understand from here is how the concepts work in here, because these concepts, if you look for them in different moves, they're all over jiu-jitsu. And it can help you really apply of how to apply a move in the right way. Because what most people that don't know this move are fighting is upper body against upper body. And that's not going to work. What most people are fighting is strength against strength. Not going to work. All right?
Hey, Keith. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin, sorry.
Okay. It's a long day.
When you, when the leg, so you come here, right? And you lead with the hip, right?
Yeah.
How do you push? Does this guy drop and it comes across first?
So you start to scissor your legs. Let me break that little piece down for you. Okay? So as you're bridging up, all right, you bridge up and you come back down. This leg starts to scissor underneath. All right? Because look, if I'm here, his weight's here. If I'm able to scissor my legs, which I am because he's not putting it, guess what that creates? That creates my hip to move down. So you're really scissoring. This leg is going to go under. And that's what creates. Now, if I try to just push, my hips really don't come down to the mat. That hip coming down to the mat, if we're connected, that's going to give me my power. See that? Take a look at this foot here. That's going to go beyond this foot, and this foot's going to go under. All right, let's see it on top. I mean, it really is like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's just about to go, and you just give that extra little turn with your hip, and he goes over. So just like a hip throw, you know how you're turning your hips with a hip throw? Same idea. Did that make sense for you, Hans?
Perfect. Thank you.
I understand the part that you just went over, but I just want to ask, your right foot when it hits the ground, when you lift your knee up and then touch the ground with your right foot, does that drive your hips? When you touch the ground, you drive through that
Yeah,
foot,
look.
correct?
Here, guys, check it out. Remember, this is the same motion as shrimping. So here, I'm going to drive my hips across. So this motion that we do here when we shrimp is really important. For jiu-jitsu, moving your hips. So yeah, it does.
Okay.
You got stuff to add?
I guess like the stuff that I see is like the push and pull. I grew up dancing, so like when you're leading, it's push and pull, and kind of like with this, same thing. You like push, and then you get the, push pull and the reaction. I guess when you push back, and use that leverage, to throw the person over. I guess that's what I see. Like use the reaction for it.
Yeah, and that's another big thing with jiu-jitsu is using the reaction, right?
I just had a question about at the end why you want to be laying flat and not going to your knees.
Yeah, so you could, when you finish it, you could go to your knees, but what happens is if you're not doing the beginning right, then, well, how should I put it? So if you're doing the beginning, you're actually flat on your hips. So it doesn't matter that you end like off of your hips, but what most people were doing is they were coming here.
Right, yeah, that's what I did the first time.
Yeah.
And the second time,
So
flat.
you're never ever going to be able to come up there. Look, I can't come up. So really what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my hips. See that?
Yeah.
So that's switching of my hips. Watch what happens to his body. See that?
Yeah.
He's here. All right, he's pressuring down on me. Watch me switch my hips. Because look, this is free. If I stay here, he stays down here. Watch, if I switch my hips. So look, I'm here. I don't need to get up. Move back a little bit.
So Kevin, the thing I'm noticing right there,
Yeah,
build on what you were saying about Jimmy's ball metaphor.
yeah,
When you switch your hips, that's the point where the center of gravity crosses over your center line.
exactly. So he's on top of me now, back here, and then I'm able to get here. Now this is going to change it here. And now look where my hips are. Ooh, ah. Right here. So that's why it's important to end there. Because if you're ending there, then you knew you started there. That makes sense? Sorry to kick you out of the frame.
So I just have
Okay,
one.
let's try it out a couple more times. Ask questions if you want, but I want you to try it out. Let's do it three or four more times. If you have a partner, then use your partner here. So Pete, try to switch your legs. So guys, slow it down. Slow it down. So bridge higher, John. Bridge higher. There you go. Now he pushes back to you. Bridge again. Yep. Keep switching, John. Nice. Good, John Leslie. So Tom, get a higher bridge, Tom Thompson. Get a higher bridge. Guys got to work on your bridges, create height. Nice, John Leslie. It's good for your back, too. All of you guys need to bridge higher. Scissor your legs, John F. Scissor your legs. Scissor all the way, Hans. Keep going. All the way to your stomach when you come back. So bridge, Hans, and all the way through, all the way. There you go. Good. Matt Paddock. Matt, this is like, this little move for you is key because you get these beasts that stay on top of you. And you use a lot of energy, a lot of pushing and face push. And because you're, Matt, because you're giving so much force, they usually give it back to you. Let me see it, Rob Fitzpatrick. Rob, where's your bridge, Rob? No bridge. Where's your bridge? Okay, guys, take a minute for a second. I'm going to tell you two things. Come back to watch. You guys, I want to show you, well, let me ask you this. How do you make your bridge higher? What part of your body is going to help you make your bridge higher? Anybody?
Put your feet close to your butt.
Ding, 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 ding. My man. Exactly. So it's not actually your hip. If you're bridging here, my foot isn't that close, my bridge is not going to be that big. If I can get it higher, my bridge gets higher. All right? And when you're bridging, when your elbow's in here, all right? So make sure that your foot is close to your butt and you can create your angle. So guys, I want to tell you a little bit about what this move means to me. Faber-Gurgel is the head of Alliance. Alliance has the most world championships in the history of jiu-jitsu. I think they've won the last like 8 of the 10 world championships. Lucas, Marcelo, they're all from Alliance. It was originally the Gracies. They had like the market on things in Rio. And there was 3 smaller schools, Fabigo School, Jacare School, and another guy who's still in Brazil. I forget his name. They decided to form an alliance so they could fight the Gracies and beat them, and they started to. And now they've dominated. And I was an alliance affiliate for 15 years. And Faber-Gurgel used to stay at my apartment in New York, and I would get stuck underneath a lot against these bigger opponents because I had a grappling background. They would put me against bigger opponents, and when I competed, I usually competed at 220 because there was 2 guys on the team that were better than me, and I was about 200 pounds, so I always had these big guys. So this move came from Fabio would give me a private for staying at my apartment. And this is one of the things that he showed me in the private was how to do this bottom escape and really enabled me to, if I didn't get out, to at least create some space for some action to happen. I also didn't realize that I was getting mounted all the time and I didn't know why. And when he pointed out the thing about my foot, I've used that ever since I was a blue belt at that time. It was like 2003, I think. So this is a really small, basic thing, But one of the reasons I thought this was really important to include in this is my personal experience with it, but also that fact that it covers so many different concepts, like 3 valuable concepts that you may forget this move, but if you can remember one of those concepts and start to recognize that application in all these other moves, then you can really start to parlay this one class into a full understanding of how jiu-jitsu works. And, you know, it's not just a move, right? And also, my dancer over here, you know, that push-pull thing too. So I want to thank Hans for giving me some advice a couple weeks ago. And I know less is more, but he said, hey man, you're like rushing at the end. And, you know, I'm kind of like, there's a lot of information. So I cut the information down, and I feel like it's better serving you guys because there's a smaller amount of info and it's easier to digest. Is that kind of what's happening? Yeah, good. Awesome. Everyone's like, yes. And it also gives you a little more open forum to ask questions. So let's hit up a couple more questions about this or about anything. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, Kevin, I tried it out on my 9-year-old a minute ago, and he managed to get his right arm out and kind of post it, and I wasn't able to get. Are you trying to trap the arm underneath your neck, or?
Okay, that's a great question, and we actually went over that before we taught it. So again, the scenario is he's tightly wrapped around me and he's not letting go. So your 9-year-old isn't playing that scenario, so it's not going to work. Okay, so you have to make sure you're in that scenario, right? You have to make sure that the waves have died down before you go out. So let's take that scenario. Okay, what's his name? Christopher, nice job. I'm going to take your scenario, which you used on your dad. With Chris, that is actually a great move, because what a lot of white belts do is they just hold on so tight that that move is easy to do. So let's say, so he's supposed to be holding me tight, right? So hold me tight. And this is why this works. I'm trying to get out and he's holding me tight. That's why this works. So if he's not holding you tight, or he is holding you tight and he senses it and he put his arm out, he just created space. So he had to put his arm out, right? So Chris put his arm out. So I have to change. That's not working. I can come under here now and come out this side. All right, so what happened there? What happened? Let's look at this. So again, if one thing's not there, there's something else there. But you have to look out for that something else. So he's tight. I come back. He puts it out. Look, if I'm able to come in here, great. But now I couldn't come in here. My elbow's here. So elbow escape. Remember this, guys? Elbow escape. Remember we did that on the leg? Same thing on the arm. Yeah,
Okay.
move.
Rob, can you mute yourself real quick? I think there's some background noise.
Yeah, thanks. So look, elbow escape, what we did 2 weeks ago. Now where's he going with this? Go ahead and move around. I play back into my shrimp the other side. So by Chris putting his arm out, that's creating space. And you have to take advantage of that space. So I'm tight. Here, wrap around me. Go ahead and do it. I'm tight. He brings me through. Oh, he got it. But I'm tight here. There's that space now you can take advantage of. If his elbow can't come in there, get just his elbow in. Put your elbow in. Now, elbow escape to your knee. Knee to the elbow. Good. Remember we did that? So, if this does not lead to a reversal, what's his reaction? And then what can you do with that opening? All right? Does that make sense for you, Andrew? I think Chris is beating on Andrew right now. All right.
Okay. When this move is finished, after everybody's flipped over, is the best thing to slide into side control?
Well, you're inside control. You're going to fall inside control.
Right. So I want to bring my knees up and I want to like get in tight or what?
You know what? It doesn't really matter. It depends on whatever your game is. You're inside control. You accomplish what you want. You're out from bottom. Okay? So you can play whatever you want. You can go to neon belly. You can, doesn't really matter at that point. You're on top.
Okay.
In a self-defense situation, you're going to get up and run the other way.
Right.
Right? Or maybe neon belly.
Okay.
So, I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
It doesn't.
And then for competition, does this count as anything?
That's a great question. It should, shouldn't it? But it doesn't.
Okay. So
it's like I was on bottom. Now I'm on top. Where's my reversal points?
Right.
But it's okay. So Milton just said, is that a sweep? Now here's a quiz for anyone that has been doing this for a little while. That's not a sweep. And why is it not a sweep?
Because they're not standing or on their knees? No?
Yeah, kind of. You're hovering around it. Anybody else?
Your hips.
Anybody take a guess? So Andrew, just back to you. Was that helpful?
It was extremely helpful. It was exactly what I was wondering. My video cut out right when you were explaining.
No problem. I thought Chris was trying to choke you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, so the answer to the question is, I'm on bottom, he's inside control, and I reverse him. How come I don't get a sweep? A sweep is when you're on bottom and you go on top, right? But no, it's not as simple as that. A sweep is when you are in someone's guard and you reverse them. So I'm not in his guard. I'm in side control. Why is it that way? Who knows? It is that way. I think you should get points if you're on bottom and you come on top, but that's not the way the sparring rules. So again, if I'm here in guard, open guard, and I'm able to come on top, that is a 2-point sweep. If he's on top of me and I'm able to come up, that is not 2 points. Okay? Oopa. Okay. So, again, worst case scenario, I get knocked down. Best case scenario, I stay on my feet and I fight from there. We're going to start to enter that best case scenario. We're on our feet. That person attacks me. That's the next chapter. All right. We have one more week of escapes. Next week, we're going to learn back escapes. All right. Or back escape. Someone has control. They're on my back. They can choke me. What do I do? Very essential for sparring jiu-jitsu and also for self-defense. So guys, let's close it out with some breathing, right? So guys, there's a book that was written on breath. If you Google NPR breath, they had a really nice part of a podcast on it. And there was a whole study done on the difference between mouth breathing and nose breathing. And mouth breathing was meant to actually cause anxiety and to cause sleep apnea. If a guy walked around with his nostrils blocked up for a number of days and he became somewhat depressed and wasn't able to sleep, and so the nose breathing is what calms you down. Now, the breathing that we're doing right now is not meant to calm you down. It's actually meant to bring you up. We're doing all mouth breathing. Why are we doing that? Well, we're stressing our body with quick mouth breathing, and then we're going the completely other way when we hold the breath, is we're lowering we're calming the body down. So we're not just all calming, we're going this direction and that direction. And that's what the Wim Hof breathing is. And that's what makes it pretty dynamic. You don't want to do this all the time, but it serves a pretty good purpose. So let's hit this up.
Was the original book called The Oxygen Advantage?
No, this is a book that was just written, I think, a couple weeks ago.
I read that book, The Oxygen.
Yeah.
For athletes. So.
Cool, I'll check that one out.
All right, do one round. Here we go.
This is a guided breathing session. Relax to the deepest. Lie down, sit down, whatever it takes. Relax. Are you ready? Here we go. Round number 1. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Just go with the flow of the breath. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Into the belly, into the chest, and let go. Like a wave. Make it circular. Fully in, letting go. Just keep on going. No pause between inhalation and exhalation. Let's give it all we got. Last one. Pull in and let go. All right. 1 minute breath hold from now on. Be in this moment. Let the body do what the body is capable of doing. Be aware of your heartbeat. Slow it down and just be in this moment. Let that relaxation spread down to your toes, into your fingertips, to the base of your neck and head. You are almost there. Do you want to prolong your breath hold? Pause the video now and continue when you feel the urge to breathe. Okay, recovery breath in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in and hold for 15 seconds. Exhale in 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Round number 2. Back into that rhythm. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out.
All right, guys, normalize your breath. And I want you guys to breathe in through your nose now and out through your nose. In through your nose twice as long and out through your nose, nice and slow. A couple more like that, really slow. Now I want you to breathe in for 6 seconds and out for 9. All right, break. Let's close it out with gratefulness.